Good morning, everyone. Um, yeah, so I wanna ask a question. So everyone have a phone, smartphone here? Yes. Can you use this smartphone and log into, like, you can ask questions, you can Google, and you can use apps, right? I know it's a silly question, right? But as an entry point for my subject, so there are certain areas in this world they don't have smartphones, and they don't have privilege to go to internet and check whatever they want, right? So my work is mostly with these type of communities, and I'm going to share a little bit about what I learned from these communities. So today's topic is uplifting livelihoods of indigenous peoples in Sri Lanka through technological interventions. And I'm Eranga Galapatti, and so today we have one of my PhD students. Situni, can you raise your hand? Yes. And Kim can't make it today because of she got some classes. So this is indigenous people in Sri Lanka. They call Vedda. And there are other terms as well, like Vanilla Atto and Adivasi. But this slide for you to get a little bit some understanding about Vedda. This is how they look like. And they experience, you can see, they experience a lot of challenges, and they living a very hard life, harsh life. So most of them, they eat like only one meal per day, not because they want to diet or anything, because they don't have food, right? And they experience a lot of stresses like climate change, droughts. When they get rains, they get floods. And one big problem is human-elephant conflicts, because they live in very rural areas, and those are forest areas. And because of urbanization in some forest areas, the elephants and other animals move to these communities for food and other activities. And they also victims of so many false government promises. And they also get like pressure from modernization because they are minority groups in Sri Lanka. And their livelihood activities is mostly hunting, gathering. Hunting, for example, they go hunt for like deer, rabbit, and they do farming, fishing, and collecting bee honey. Wild bee honey is a big thing among Sri Lankan Vedda people. And these conditions actually, like you can see, if you go to like Tanzania or Arctic or other places, these are very common life experiences when it comes to indigenous peoples. I also want to give a little bit of research context for you before we go to the subject, because a lot of community-based researchers, what they do is they bring their own research problems to the communities. But in my lab, what we do, instead of using them as like a research subject, we go to communities and spend a lot of time, sometimes 2-3 years, just to identify more meaningful research questions, sometimes research methods. So we have some grants, like for example, we got an NSF grant to spend minimum of 2 years in the Canadian Arctic with Inuit friends and identify a research objective or a research problem, and then write a grant proposal and continue that project. So you can see a quote from an indigenous elder. So what they're saying is, so this is a very common problem, again, in a lot of local communities and indigenous communities, because researchers, they come to a lot of communities and they get their data and they get vanished, okay? And researchers come to us to find answers to their problems, but no one visit us to find answers to their own problems, right? It is real, right? Okay. You can see some of the pictures from with some of the Vedda leaders, and one Vedda, again, elder in their community garden, and this photo, the right side photo shows how they use some of the technologies, right? Very basic technologies, how to make fire and stuff. And the motivation behind this study, the study about technological interventions, because I'm working with these communities since 2016. And I'm visiting annually these communities, and we have a very good collaboration and relationship with these communities. And when we visit these communities, we observe, so most of the household, they don't have smartphones. And very few people, let's say you have like 500 households in one village, maybe two to three people have smartphones. And people have smartphones, they don't have good internet connection, but when they have internet connection, they use that smartphone smartly. Some of them use that smartphone to find answers to some of the disease conditions in their community garden, or to learn about weather and weather forecast, very simple things, right? So in this context, for them, this is a very like a important thing to have and learn from someone else about technical innovations. So then we talked to these communities, and we heard from them, okay, we really need this kind of help. So we got like community need as well to continue with this project. So you can see in these photos, the left side photo, you can see they have like they are doing watermelon plantation here, and the right side the other side you can see our friend Vedda. He's the community leader for coastal Vedda, and he's involved in paddy farming. And the community of Dambana, the central figure, so they produce a lot of herbs and Ayurvedic medicine. So we thought it would be a very helpful for them to introduce a little bit of technology, and then they can benefit from that. And in this project, we had two objectives. The first one is to do some preliminary data collection in Sri Lanka to get a fundamental understanding, the basic understanding of how indigenous people can benefit from internet, right? Or using, I mean, when it comes to internet, you need devices as well. So then devices and internet. And what kind of devices they can use, whether they have the know-how to use them, and do they know how to install them? I mean, if we help to install them these smartphones, and can they use them, and whether they have signals, things like that, questions like that. And after that, based on that preliminary data, we thought we're gonna we're gonna continue with like a more larger scale grant proposals. I think we succeed for a certain extent. And to go to methods, I like to show you the study sites. This is Sri Lanka, if you're not familiar with the country. So it's a small island in Indian Ocean. So it's just below India. And this is the country and how it's look like. And you can see there are 6 communities called Wakare, Dambana, Hinanigala, Dalukana, Pollebadda, Ratugala. And for example, we got some photos for you to get like a good understanding about the study sites. And this is Hinanigala. And we got 7 participants from Henanigala. Likewise, we have Dambana, Ratugala, Pollebadda, Wakare, and Dalukana. So those are the study areas. And this is the project timeline. So we start this in 2024. And first, as a first step, we got the IRB approval. So those are university requirements to do any research involve human participants. So, and we conduct data collection. And first we prepare different data collection tools like questionnaires, surveys, and then we communicate with Vedda friends in Sri Lanka. So we always make sure it's appropriate to their culture and whether they can understand these questions, things like that. And after some pilot sessions, we start data collection. We went to Sri Lanka twice in 2024 and recently last summer. And we conducted data collection methods like focus group discussions and semi-structured interviews, like interviews in an individual basis, one-to-one basis, and focus group discussions. We have small groups and we discuss about different themes. And then we use transcribe this data because they speak a different language, and we convert that to local language. Sometimes we use translators to convert that information, and so now we are at the project evaluation stage. So now I'm going to talk about some of the project outcomes. So what are the benefits of this project? So I'm going to divide these outcomes into three different sections. For researchers, what are the project outcomes we have? And based on preliminary data we got from 2024 and previous activities, we developed 2 NSF grants, and we secured some funds, and it's over 1 million funds. And we also, this helps to do training with, we provide some training to PhD student. Situni, for example, she's benefit from this grant. And we also share this experience, project experience, with other international research networks. So we have ongoing collaborations with a couple of research networks, one called Indigenous Peoples Observatory Network, called IPON. Here we have more than 14 countries, and we have observatories to observe indigenous communities, over 100 indigenous communities across the world. So LICHI is another Europe-based project. We have about 35 collaborators, and so we use these networks to spread our lessons. And this project also helps to further strengthen our collaborations and relationship with Vedda communities. And for communities, so why it matters for communities? So far it helps to, we provide some devices for smartphones for these communities. And this helps because we provide these smartphones for the key people we identified in the communities, and they can use and share this knowledge among other members. You can see Situni giving some teaching the Velayudam, the Vedda from Wakare, how to use these smartphones. I mean, these are not, I mean, for us, this is nothing, right? But when it comes to these communities, this can make a big difference, right? And then this also helps to livelihood enhancements by using these techniques. And we also conducted some capacity building training for youth groups and elderly groups. And by doing this project, we also integrate indigenous perspectives to our research, especially the upcoming NSF projects. And we also continue ongoing collaborations because of these projects with these communities. And we are addressing, most importantly, because of our community-based participatory approach, we are trying to address their problems, not our problems, right? And for USA, so what? This helps to VT students to learn more real-world challenges in developing countries. And we also introduce, so this was a really good case study for my classes, like world regions. I'm doing 2 classes related to this, world regions and practicing sustainability. So in these classes, I talk about, you can see the practicing sustainability class, and I also use this knowledge to discuss in panel discussions about indigenous research. And this also creates student opportunities for cross-cultural exchange and global learning. And it's also strengthened VT profiles in community-engaged national research. So this is my last slide. And this is how we call thank you in singular called Istuti, and in Tamil it's called Nandre. And I have some acknowledgements as well. So this is the end of my presentation, but I have a very short video to show you. So let me play that.
Sri Lankan indigenous peoples are a minority group comprising less than 1% of the country's total population. They primarily engage in farming, fishing, hunting, and collecting bee honey as their main livelihood activities. But currently, Sri Lankan indigenous peoples are facing many issues, such as severe droughts, human-elephant conflicts, and government neglect, all of which are affecting their livelihoods. As researchers, our role is to identify the real needs and aspirations of these communities through community-based participatory research. Whenever we visited these communities, they always welcomed us with a warm smile and a heartfelt greeting. There are 6 main indigenous villages in Sri Lanka, all represented by a national chief leader. At the beginning of our data collection, we first visited the chief leader to obtain consent, as shown in the video. After that, we introduced ourselves and obtained individual consent from each participant in every village. The ICAT project enabled us to blend indigenous knowledge with digital innovation to support Sri Lanka's indigenous communities. The goal of this project is to bridge the digital divide, not by imposing external solutions, but by amplifying indigenous voices and addressing their priorities. This effort marks an important step toward building inclusive and sustainable futures, where technology supports rather than replaces traditional ways of life. Our ultimate hope is to bring a smile to these communities through meaningful capacity building.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing this work. What questions do we have in the room or online? If you have them online, put them in the box there. I'll hold mic.
How are you addressing the concerns that technologies like this may negatively affect Indigenous communities? Like, I've heard that in some places where technology like this was introduced, it made people very distracted and unproductive because of things like social media or like porn.
Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, I'm going to invite Situni to join as well because she was a part of this project as well. So it's a very good question. So far, because we work with 6 communities, they all have very different conditions when it comes to technological perspectives. And some communities like Ratugala, right, they have really good control and management. And for example, they have a committee, so everything's managed, they have an Indigenous youth committee, and they talk about these issues. So what will happen if people addicted to porn, or what will happen, they spend like extensive time in social media without going to this involved in other activities, right? So we have a dialogue about these issues. But we cannot because like I said, so this is an ongoing process. I mean, we are not like, okay, we are done with our project, we're going to go. No, not like that. It's an ongoing collaboration. So we're going to monitor that. And our friends in communities also, they know about that, and they are aware about those problems. Did I answer your question? Yes, thank you.
I want to follow up on this question. You said that in each community there were a few people who had smartphones. Presumably you talked to some of them. How long have they had smartphones? What have they noticed? What are the other people in the community? I imagine a lot of people are leaning over their shoulders to look at this technology and what it can do. Can you describe what those people's experiences have been like, and whether or not other people in the community are like, oh, I want that also?
Sidhani, you want to add something? I can start. You can jump. Yes, I mean, we know this community since 2016. So they got smartphone. For example, the coastal Vedda got a smartphone about 2 years ago. So they have very less experience, but honestly, we know they prefer the simple phone. Still, they prefer those phones because they have difficulty to deal with these phones. So that's why we found they still need some sort of help and some training to work with these phones. So when we start these collaborations, back in 2022, I guess, Situnis start calling these communities monthly basis, all the communities, and we definitely call these Vedda leaders. Sometimes we call some of the elders and friends as well. So then they start, the people who have this phone, they start communicate with us later through WhatsApp, right? So then, so at that stage, we think they know how to use these phones. But still, we know some elders, they are struggling. Sometimes we see missed calls here and there, and then we call and they don't know what happened, things like that. I know these type of things happens to us as well, but for them, I think it's still it's a learning process. Did I answer your question, Tim?
Another thing is the usage differs from the age. Elders usage is different, they are using for livelihood enhancements and everything, but the youth usage is different, because we saw in Dalukana villages, they are using for social media connections and all. So as researchers, what we are trying to do is through awareness and advising, even though we are remotely based, through WhatsApp and everything, especially in Ratugala, we are connected with the Indigenous youth organization. So through online platforms, we are trying to advise them how to properly use the smartphones to enhance and uplift their livelihoods and everything. So yeah.
Also, I want to add, we have a mentoring program attached to the other research network for IPON, and we invite these community leaders to, and youth especially, and we ask what you really want them, want to learn, and they are part of that learning, the mentoring approach as well. So they learn, I mean, one of the things they ask, actually, they want to learn how to make videos and very simple things like that, technology-related things. Right. And we also found, very interesting thing, we also found a YouTuber from Dambana village, and like he's trying to build his YouTube channel. So we have here and there, we can see like seeds like that. Yes.
So I know a lot of times in rural areas, inserting smartphones is great for opening the door to healthcare and health information. Is that something that you've seen or explored or interested in looking at in any way?
So this is all about, actually, I told we got 2 NSF grant. One of the NSF grant, we are trying to understand the connection between climate, food, and health. So technology will be, so that's why we include technology as one of our key components. So we just start this project. So yeah, hopefully we can find some good insights after a couple of years. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We are out of time.